on the record. This is ERD case number CR2019007558. The complainant is Annie M. Bates. The respondent is Artisan Senior Living. I'm Administrative Law Judge Stephanie Brown. It is Monday, May 10th, 2021 at approximately 9:40 a.m. We're here for a hearing on the issue of probable cause, which follows from a discrimination complaint that Ms. Bates filed against the respondent with the Equal Rights Division on March 21st, 2019, alleging discrimination on the basis of pregnancy or maternity and for opposing discrimination in the workplace. There were some communications with Ms. Bates and the investigator during the investigation of the complaint about possibly amending the complaint to include discrimination on the basis of race and color. Although I don't believe an amended complaint was filed based on the allegations in the statement of discrimination, the investigator concluded that Ms. Bates had alleged discrimination on the basis of race and color. And so in an initial determination that was issued on December 16th of 2019, the investigator found that there was no probable cause to believe that Mosaic Management Group, LLC, doing business as Artisan Senior Living, violated the Wisconsin Fair Employment Law by discriminating against the complainant in terms or conditions of employment because of pregnancy, childbirth, maternity leave, or related medical conditions, terminating the employment of the complainant because of pregnancy, childbirth, maternity leave, or related medical conditions, discriminating against the complainant in terms or conditions of employment because of color, discriminating against the complainant in terms or conditions of employment because of race, and discharging the complainant because the complainant opposed a discriminatory practice under the Act. Based on that initial determination, Ms. Bates filed a timely appeal of the initial determination, and therefore that is why we are here this morning for a hearing on the issue of probable cause, where the hearing will address those 5 bases for discrimination. Now, before we begin, I just want to make sure that everybody states their appearances, and then we'll discuss what we had started to discuss off the record, on the record. So first of all, Ms. Bates, you are here present, and you're going to be representing yourself here today, correct?
Correct.
And for the respondent who is present?
John Woodson is here for the respondent, Mosaic Management Group, LLC, who is doing business as the Artisan Senior Living. And with me, I've got my business reps for Krista McCook and Raylan Cayley.
All right. And so, like I said, there was something that we started to discuss off the record, and I wanted to get it on the record. And so, first of all, Ms. Bates, you had mentioned that you have 2 witnesses that you want to have testify, correct?
Correct.
Who are those 2 individuals, first of all?
One is Leticia Kelly, and the other, her name is Helen. I forget how to pronounce her last name.
Do you know how to spell it for me, please?
No, I do not know how to spell it.
Okay. And then who are these 2 individuals?
These were co-workers who were working with me at Artisan at the time. And Leticia is also my niece.
Okay. And now I had asked you, because I had not received a witness list from you. Did you send something to us, Ms. Bates, letting us know?
Not able to send anything with the witness list. I didn't have access at the time to get that information over to you guys. I've also been ill, so that's another reason that I was not able to send that information. But moving forward, if we're gonna do court, I don't know if we got to reschedule it or what do you need to do, but my witnesses are available today. They're waiting. I would like for them to be able to join in on this hearing. If not, I guess we can reschedule it and I can submit you guys the proper information and we can move forward with that.
How long did you know that you wanted to use them as a witness, Ms. Bates?
TC's been involved the whole time. But I mean, my case was dismissed so early on. I wasn't able to get that information in, but TC's my niece and she's the one who was working with me there. So she's been involved the whole entire time. And she even gave a statement. So when the case got dismissed, her name was already mentioned. She gave paperwork and everything.
Great. Do you have any response, Attorney Woodson?
Yeah, I would object to the witnesses being included. Like you said, we didn't get a witness or exhibit list. Even if Ms. Bates was ill during this time, she could have submitted it late, and instead we're learning about these witnesses 10 minutes ago. When the hearing has started, she didn't appear for the pre-hearing conference to talk about witnesses. Last Thursday, I hadn't had a chance to vote on there's witnesses, take discovery, depose them, interview my witnesses about those potential other witnesses or employees. I feel that including those witnesses would be prejudicial to our case.
Is there anything that you want to respond to, Ms. Bates, based on what Attorney Woodson just said?
Well, again, I did give statement for Leticia. She's been involved the whole time. Helen, I just reconnected with her, and she was working with us there, so she's got inside knowledge. I understand I didn't give you guys the information ahead of time that I do have these witnesses. So again, moving forward, I guess we can either reschedule the hearing, but I do not want to move forward with a hearing today without my witnesses being heard as well.
Well, I don't know how I can allow you to have the witnesses testify, Ms. Bates, because you didn't follow the rules and provide proper notice. And to just wait until today to let us know and then request a postponement now. I guess as Attorney Woodson had mentioned, we had a pre-hearing scheduled on Thursday. You didn't appear, but I called you and left a message. Did you get that message at all?
No, I didn't get anything.
What is your current phone number?
It's 920-634-8276. A lot of, if I haven't got to my voicemail and cleared it out, a lot of stuff won't come through. So I don't know if that's what you experienced or not, but I didn't get any message from you.
Yeah, I was able to leave a message, and I was just checking that was the number that I had called, because that was the number on your discrimination complaint. And
Okay.
so I did leave a message just asking, if you were having issues connecting or anything like that. So I'm not sure why the message didn't come through. Anything else, Ms. Bates, you want me to consider whether or not I should allow your witnesses to testify, or did we cover pretty much what you wanted to mention in that regard?
Well, I like to know what are we doing at this point then, because I don't want to give my testimony today without my witnesses.
Well, I don't think I can allow the witnesses to testify, and I'm not comfortable postponing the hearing, because if you had an issue with connecting, back in February, I told you that we were going to schedule the hearing for May 10th, and you sent that email saying, I get that, or that's fine. And so if you were having issues either with your health, being able to let us know that you had witnesses, you should have told us before this morning.
Okay. Well, then, like I said, I'm not gonna do the hearing today without my witnesses. I think they should be allowed, especially since they're waiting in. I don't think that's a big inconvenience for you guys to allow them in. Their testimony needs to be heard as well.
It's not so much the inconvenience, is that what I have to look at is the prejudice. So to just kind of put people on notice this morning that you've got these two witnesses without giving proper notice is not fair to the respondent. And I wouldn't allow their witnesses to testify if they just came up today and said, I've got these witnesses. It would be unfair to you to have them appear and testify without proper notice. So that's what we're looking at.
How do you get my witnesses' testimony then in regards to the fact of this situation? Because their statement is going to be a part of this case. So do you take their statements later? Do you set up a different date so that you can hear my witnesses? Because if you're not going to hear my witnesses, I can't move forward with today. I'm just going to have to ask for a reschedule. But I do have witnesses that are waiting online right now. And I don't think that there'll be anything prejudiced about me having my witnesses be heard. They're available and they're ready today. If you can't do it today, I think that we need to reschedule so that my witnesses can be heard, and then, you know, you could have the proper time.
What are your thoughts on rescheduling, Attorney Woodson?
I would object again to rescheduling. This case has been going on for nearly 3 years now. This has been scheduled since January. You know, we had initial pre-hearing conference, I believe, last July. And, you know, Ms. Bates had 5 months or so to request a substitution of the judge. She didn't do so. We scheduled the hearing in January, I believe. It's my understanding that she didn't propose any dates. I believe you said during our pre-hearing conference that we put the date out and she responded via email that it was fine. There was another email about scheduling a pre-hearing conference. We scheduled that. We had that. Eyewitnesses are prepped and ready to go today. Moving it out for even further will just be more expense and burden for my client. So like I said, I have 3 witnesses. We're ready to go today. I'm ready to testify. We're ready to go. It's not just in the past 2 weeks or whatever that the witness list could have been prepared and submitted. The administrative code, to my knowledge, hasn't changed. You know, in the past 2 years, she could have submitted witnesses at any time, communicated about witnesses. We don't know, you know, what's going on here. We would like a resolution of this today.
Well, like I said, I cannot move forward without my witnesses, and they're part of this case, and they're part of the fact finding of this investigation. And basically, I'm requesting that we reschedule because I'm not going to do the trial today without my witnesses. So either you can allow them to come in today so that you don't have to spend any more money on this case, or we can continue and you're still going to spend more money on the case because my witnesses will be heard.
Well, I don't think I can allow the witnesses to testify today, Ms. Bates, and I'm not willing to postpone the hearing because everybody had proper notice of the hearing. So if you don't want to proceed, the only thing is then because you don't put on any evidence today, I'm going to have to dismiss your complaint. So at least if you put on some evidence today, that would lead me not to dismiss your complaint. And you can always appeal that decision to not allow your witnesses if you want. But if you don't put on any evidence today, because it's your burden to show discrimination, I'm left with no other option but to dismiss your discrimination complaint.
Okay, that's fine. I guess we'll go through with it.
Okay, all right.
My evidence.
All right, so
be able to add my witnesses to this, that I have witnesses? Like, how does that work exactly?
So, I mean, I'm not going to let the witnesses testify. And so you can present whatever evidence you want to present here today. And I'll start by asking you some general questions about your complaint. But then depending on what the decision is, either I'll find that you met your burden of proof to show probable cause, and the case will be certified to a hearing on the merits of the complaint. If I find that you didn't meet your burden of proof and I find no probable cause, the complaint will be dismissed. You can appeal that determination, and as part of that appeal, you could always say, you know, you thought I was wrong to not allow your witnesses. So that's kind of the 2 options here.
Okay, so basically, if I didn't want to go through with it, you dismiss it, and it's the same situation. I can still go ahead and appeal it.
Yes, but you might be able to present sufficient evidence without your witnesses to lead me to a find of a probable cause, and then the case would go forward. So that's kind of what you have to decide. If you
Okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and allow you to go ahead and dismiss the case. I don't even think it's worth, you know, me going through with you listening to a testimony and stuff like that when I don't have my evidence with me at this point in time. And so that's where I'm at with it. I don't think that this is even a fair hearing that I cannot have my witnesses to testify as well.
Are you sure that you don't want to put it on any evidence then? Because again, you could still testify and present evidence to support your claims, even though I've made the decision not to allow your witnesses to testify. So you're not completely prevented from putting on any evidence. The only thing I'm saying is you can't have your witnesses testify, but you yourself can still testify and present evidence.
Okay, fine. I guess I'll just go ahead and go through with it today but this is ridiculous. I think my witnesses should be able to testify.
Okay. So let's start then. I guess, was there anything else we wanted to or needed to discuss before we begin with Ms. Bates's testimony?
The only thing that I would ask is if my witnesses can turn off their cameras and mute themselves.
Yeah, that's fine.
Save us some bandwidth.
You don't need to see them. All right, so Ms. Bates, if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony you will give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. And I'm just going to start by asking you some general questions about the information you put in your discrimination complaint before I turn it over to you to present any additional evidence that you want me to consider. So first of all, you were employed at Artisan Senior Living, correct?
Correct.
And when did you work there?
It was October 2018.
And when did your employment end?
I think it was December 27, 2018.
Okay, I'm just looking at your discrimination complaint, and the last date of discrimination you noted as January 3rd of 2019. So would that be, to your recollection, the last day you worked there?
No, that was the day I received a letter in the mail stating I was fired.
Okay, so you had stopped actually working, though, you thought December 27th, did you say, of 2018?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the position that you held there?
It was team lead.
What hours were you scheduled to work as the team lead?
Second shift from, I believe it was like 3 till 11.
All right. And what was your rate of pay?
I don't remember.
Okay.
That's like $13.
Okay. And did you work, I guess you said you worked 3 to 11. I'm assuming that's 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.?
Correct.
And did you work every day, or how many days a week did you typically work?
I'm working almost every day.
Okay. So you were working at least 40 hours a week?
Correct.
Okay. Now, in your discrimination complaint, you said you were interviewed by Tara and Ashley, and you completed a background check. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you also put in your discrimination complaint that because you were told that your background check came back good, that you could start working on Sunday, November 25th, 2018. So you agree that that's correct as well?
Yes.
All right. Then you wrote here, then almost 2 months later, Tara and Ashley fired you, stating that you had not told them about a previous employer you had worked for. So I guess, did anything happen between your hire and then when you were terminated, where they raised any concerns about you not disclosing something about a previous employer?
No, they never.
And when you were terminated, did they say what employer you didn't disclose during the application process?
No, they did not.
What did they say when they terminated you?
They just gave me, again, they sent me a letter through the mail stating I did not put some information on the application. That's all it said. It didn't say who the employer was or anything.
So you never talked to them about this then either? It was just this letter you got in the mail?
It was just a letter that I got in the mail, yes.
Okay. Just kind of skipping along because you made just a few statements about how you felt that your criminal background would have checked on your employment. So you believe that to be true, that when they did a background check, they should have disclosed or they should have found out who you previously worked for. Is that correct?
No, I just know that by law, that's part of the background check, is to get the employee reference as well.
Right. Now, you also mentioned that Ashley was the scheduler and she previously scheduled you to work for Artisan through your previous job back in May and June of 2018. So first of all, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And then why don't you tell me a little bit about that then? Where did you previously work that you were scheduled to work at Artisan?
Well, it was a company called Arcadia, and it's a temp agency, and they staff us. And at the time, Artisan would call me through the temp agency, and they would give me hours. And when I would work for them at Artisan, Tara and Ashley was signing off on my time slips. So they already knew me. We already had a relationship, and that's why they hired me on for the job to begin with, because they already had an idea of my work. So
So you said then that you felt that Tara and Ashley firing you was a pretext for discrimination. Why do you feel that?
because that's what it was.
And you think it was that they fired you because of your pregnancy or some other reason?
My pregnancy and my race.
And I can see you're on the screen, but just so that it's clear on the record, what is your race?
African American.
And you mentioned your pregnancy. When you started employment at Artisan, were you already pregnant or know that you were pregnant?
Yeah, I was over 7 months pregnant. I was very visibly pregnant.
Okay. Did you ever have any communications with Ashley about your pregnancy at all?
No.
What about Tara? Did you ever talk to Tara about your pregnancy at all?
I believe there came a point where I got a work restriction for not dealing with machinery at the job.
Because of your pregnancy?
Because of the pregnancy, yes.
Was there any other restrictions or anything that you asked that you not be allowed to do because of your pregnancy?
That was pretty much the only thing, is to not deal with the machinery, as it wasn't my position to do that. I wasn't hired to do CNA work. I was hired to be a team lead.
And what kind of machinery are we talking about then?
We're talking about lifts and sit to stands.
And after you told them or requested that you not do that, what happened? Did they still make you do that, or did they have a discussion with you? What was the next step?
The next step is I'm hired.
Okay. Did you have any kind of complaints about your job? You had mentioned they both wanted to fire you for complaining about your job. So first of all, what kind of complaints did you make about the job?
My complaints was basically the training to be a team lead. I was supposed to be trained on the medication cart. And so that I could basically supervise and be passing meds while I was there as the team lead. And they told me they were going to train me to do it, and the training was only a 3-day training. I had been there over a month, and they hadn't trained me to do that. They basically just had me doing, the basic CNA work, dealing with the clients, changing the diapers and stuff. I wasn't doing the position that they had hired me to do. So I started to question when I was going to get trained and stuff like that. And they didn't like that. And eventually, I got the training, about 6 weeks later. It was only 2 days worth of training. And basically, that was around the same time I was telling them I couldn't do the lifts anymore. And basically, I was fired. But I never got to do the position that I was hired to do, and I was treated very differently. And I did talk to them about, why am I not, doing the position I was hired to do, and so on and so forth. So,
Were there other team leads working there at the time you were working there?
yeah, there was.
How many other team leads were there?
There was only 2 other team leads, and I know one of them worked on my shift, the other one worked, first shift. And we discussed, and talked about me not getting the training. They were saying that they wanted me to get to know the residents more, and that's why the training was taking so long for me. But again, I was already working for that company through a temp agency. I knew all the residents. I had been there doing 16-hour shifts on a regular basis. So I had already established myself with that company. They knew me and stuff like that. They gave me a position that they never allowed me to utilize. And then they turned around and, fired, while I was pregnant and needing money to take care of me and my kid.
You said in your complaint that you were the only Black pregnant team lead. So I'm assuming the other two were what race then?
I believe they were Caucasian, maybe. Yeah, I think they were Caucasian. I'm not really sure, but they definitely not African American.
Okay. And as far as you know, they were not pregnant, correct?
Correct.
And you said that in your complaint here, those other two leads mainly passed medications and supervised during the shift. Is that?
That's exactly what they did. They only passed medication and supervised during their shifts.
And who were they supervising? Like, what are the other roles there?
It was the team lead, and the team lead would, basically supervise the CNAs that was there, and kind of like tell them which residents and stuff to go and help out at specific times, and the chores and stuff that was needing to be done around the workplace. They would basically assign those to the CNAs that was coming in, because most of the CNAs that was coming in was coming through a temp agency because they had such a high turnover there.
Okay. You mentioned this a little bit already, but I just want to make sure that we cover this. You said that Ashley and Tara told you that you needed to get to know the residents first, and after you knew the residents, they would then train you on the medications, which took 2 days, and the third day you would pass the medication yourself. I think that's pretty much what you said before. You said you were told that you had to get to know the residents, and you said previously that you actually did know the residents because you had worked there before, correct?
Yeah, I've already been established with the building and the people for months.
And you had mentioned, I think, that it did take 2 days when you did get the training. You were trained for 2 days. Is that correct?
Yep, I got 2 days worth of training, yes.
And then on the third day, did you pass meds yourself like you put in your complaint, or did something else happen?
On the third day, no, I still had one of the morning team leads with me that kind of shadowed me the whole time while I was passing meds.
Okay.
So no, I never passed meds myself.
Okay. So ever during your employment, you never passed meds by yourself?
No.
Then you also put in here that 2 weeks went by and you noticed Ashley never changed your title on the schedule to team lead. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that then?
Well, again, I got hired for a position, and so when with them having so much turnover and stuff like that, everybody needed to have their identifying roles so they know which part to play. But they had a schedule. They had my name down as Annie Bates, the CNA, on the schedule, but they didn't have me down as team lead. After I mentioned it, 3 weeks into it or whatever, they eventually, changed it and put my name on there and stuff like that. But through that process, they were already starting to walk me out the door before I even got my foot in there. So.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, you mentioned here about when you were waiting to get trained on the medications that the person that they wanted to train you was on sick leave.
Yeah, they said the lady was ill. I guess she had some type of cancer or something like that, and she had been there for several years, and they were saying that she was going to be the best one to train me on the medication cart. And so they didn't have anybody else who could train me on the cart. So I just had to wait. And so that was another thing that was holding me up from being able to do the position they hired me to do.
Now, when you eventually got the training, was it this individual who trained you, or did someone else train you?
It was someone else from the morning shift.
Now, is this individual that trained you? You had mentioned in your complaint, I believe, that there was someone on the morning shift who didn't want to train you. So is that who eventually trained you, or is this another individual we're talking about?
I think that's the same one.
You wrote in here that you didn't want to do personal cares due to your pregnancy. Oh, can you share some information with me about that?
Well, those are the personal cares that's actually using the Hoyer lift. It was those type of personal cares where basically either they needed it to be in a lift or a sit to stand, and they were saying that at their facility, one person can use the sit to stand. So if a woman needed to go to the bathroom and she was in that stand, they were expecting me to go in there either by myself or with someone and use this machine to put a person on to send them to the bathroom. And I was, again, very visibly pregnant, and I was not hired to as a CNA. I was hired as a team lead. So I shouldn't have been doing that anyways, but that's what they were asking me to do.
Okay. You said you wanted to eliminate all the bending and heavy lifting. Instead, Artisan made my workload harder and heavier for you, even though it was not the position you were hired for. So can you just maybe explain that a little bit more? We might have covered that already, but if there's anything else you want to add, go ahead.
Well, making it harder for me was basically, asking me to do the cleaning and, a lot of the personal cares, because that's pretty much all I did. I never got to play my role in the position I got hired for. I was basically just doing the basic CNA stuff, doing laundry, cleaning toilets, toileting people all the time. That's what I did the whole time that I was there. And it was hard for me because I was very big and pregnant, and so I end up getting a restriction so that I didn't have to do a lot of that stuff. But again, by that time I was already fired. So
Alrighty, all right. Let me just see here. We're getting towards the end of your discrimination complaint. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Again, we might have covered this already, but you wrote in here, during the time you were waiting to be trained on medications, you noticed that the third schedule came out and your work assignment still was looking different than the other team leads. So you complained again to Ashley that it was unfair to you. And because of all your complaining, Ashley and Tara decided to retaliate and fire you. So is there anything else you want to address with that statement?
yeah, I do. I wanted to basically, put in the complaint as well for the retaliation, because that's what it was.
So how many times do you think you complained to Ashley about what was going on there?
Well, to be honest, there was a lot of complaining going on because, when I first got hired onto the job, there was a new staff member, an older woman who came, and she was saying that I was going to be no team leader hers. I had just met her. It was the first day. She was yelling at me. She was in my face. She was very aggressive. And I had to, call Tara them that night. I even still have text messages of our conversation that we were having, going back and forth about this lady getting in my face and harassing me right away. The lady ended up quitting a couple of days later. But again, that workplace had a lot of very, very high turnover. So it was different people coming and going all the time, and a lot of people didn't like what was going on there. So it was just a lot of chaos in the workplace, right away. And that was that. So I would mention that to Tara and them, the things that I was experiencing. And also we were getting, they were a lot of people calling in and stuff. So then I would be stuck there working longer hours, working longer than 16 hours sometimes because they didn't have staff to come in and cover the shifts and stuff like that. So it was like there was always a lot of drama in that work environment. And this was known by Tara and Ashley. At that time, we were calling them almost on a daily basis, reporting things that were going on and mishaps that was going on there with the workplace. We had a staff member that was there doing drugs all the time. She was falling asleep in the clients' rooms and stuff like that. As a team lead, we had to report that type of stuff. So we would, send that type of stuff to Tara. And there was just a lot of bad stuff that was going on in that place, unfortunately. But again, at the time I was pregnant, I needed the money, I needed my job. And so regardless to what was going on, I was committed to working for that company. And I didn't appreciate the way they fired me.
I think you might have mentioned this employee in your complaint. Was it someone by the name of Brianna? Is that who you're talking about?
Brittany.
Brittany, okay. And in the complaint, you said this individual also had a lot of no call, no shows, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. She was calling in almost every time I was at work, to the point where I was staying longer hours and stuff like that. We would be scrambling, trying to get someone else to come in. They would be saying, oh, well, if you can stay, another 4 hours into the shift after I've already worked 16 hours and I'm pregnant, oh, we'll give you a gift card or something like that. We're really, hurting right now, but, staffing is going to get better and stuff like that. So even though I was being discriminated against, again, I was committed to my job, and I was there a lot, and they still end up firing me, so.
I just want to make sure now, at the end of your complaint, you just listed some of the reasons why you felt you were discriminated against. You said the company discriminated against you because of your pregnancy for forcing you to do cares only when you were hired for a different position. So you agree with that, correct?
For forcing me to do cares only.
That's
Yes,
what you wrote.
That's what I was doing. I was doing personal cares.
You believe that that was because of your pregnancy, that they were forcing you to do personal cares, or how do you feel?
Oh no, I think they must have not realized how pregnant I was, but I believe, yes, once they realized exactly how pregnant I was, and they were hurting for staff and always needing people because they were having so many call-ins, I think they realized I was going to need to be gone at some point, and they didn't want to deal with me being able to take off or leave or anything. So the best way to do it is just to fire me and get me up out of there beforehand, and replace me before I even have the baby.
Did you ever had a chance to talk to them about how much time you would need off for when you had your baby?
No, they never told me about anything.
And then just with regards to the race discrimination you mentioned here, and they didn't put your title on the schedule. like they did, I think, for the Caucasian workers. So is there anything else that makes you feel that you were discriminated against because of your race at all, besides not having your title on the schedule?
Yes, the fact that I wasn't able to I wasn't able to work with the title that I was given. I had to work beneath my title. I was the only African American that was actually happening to at that job at the time. Um, I was definitely treated differently than my other team leads. We didn't do the same jobs at all whatsoever, which, again, we're in court for it right now today. I was just treated differently all the way around the board, and a lot of it had to do with my race and my pregnancy.
And then with regards to your retaliation claim, you had mentioned in your complaint you felt that they did these things to you also because you had complained. Any other things that you wanted to discuss about the retaliation claim at all? Why you felt you were retaliated against?
I felt I was retaliated against because it was a blunt lie about the way they out who I was. They lied. Ashley and Tara both claimed that they had never heard of me before and that I was never working for the company. I got witnesses that could testify that we had all established a relationship, and they were actually talking to Tara and Ashley about getting me hired for the job, and that's how come they gave me the job. And then for them to say that they didn't get that information from a background check when they were signing off on my time slips with this other company. Yes, it was complete retaliation because they fired me stating that I didn't put something on my application when they already had established a relationship with me and everything before. It's just a blunt biasness, so yes.
Are you aware of any other employees who were fired because they didn't claim, or the company claims they didn't put anything, or they missed something on their application? So I guess what I'm saying is, are you aware?
No one has that story with that company but me.
Okay.
It was retaliation.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about and share with me about either your pregnancy claim, your race claim, or your retaliation claim?
No.
All right. Then, Attorney Woodson, do you have any questions for Ms. Bates?
I do, but could I have 5 minutes just to adjust my notes based on her testimony?
Sure, we'll take a 5-minute break. So we'll go off the record and we'll come back on at 10:30.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So do I just hang up?
Stay on.